What sorts of parentheses should you be using? Should you be using round parentheses? Should be using square brackets? Or should you be using curly braces? Here's the answer. Each of these is used in Python. Each of these is important in Python. And here's the difficult part to remember. Each of these is used to do several different things in the language. So there's no rule just for round parentheses. There's no rule just for curly braces. You have to learn each of these, and you have to learn each of the things that they do. And in this video, I'm going to introduce you to each of these, or at least the main ones that we use, and help you to understand where each of these can be used and should be used in different contexts. Let's start off with round parentheses, which are definitely the most common. So where can we use these? Well, first of all, we use them in callables. Now, callable is a fancy word for either a function or a class, basically something that we can put parentheses after. I know, I just made a circular definition, but that's okay, because round parentheses are almost circular. Haha. All right, so if I have here print, hello, look at this. Print is a function, and I execute it or call it using round parentheses. And there we go. If I did not have the parentheses there, if I just said print, I would get back the function itself, the function object itself, which Python would not execute for me. And I see people encounter this all of the time. So here's one classic example of where I see it. I see something like this, t equals A10, B20, C30, and they want to iterate over the dictionary. So they say for key value in D items, print, and then we can say here, key and value. And sure enough, that prints the dictionary. And so what did I do here? I iterated over the output from d.items. That's a method. Methods are also callables. But if you take the parentheses off, as people often do as a mistake, look at this. Now we're not trying to iterate over the result of invoking d.items. Rather, we're trying to iterate over the d.items method itself, and methods are not iterable, as this somewhat helpful error message tells us. So when you're using a function, if you really want to execute it, you must use parentheses. If you're using a class and you really want to create a new instance, you must use parentheses. So that's why we can say here x equals int of 5. Right here we are executing int. We are creating a new instance of the int class. We're getting a new integer, in other words, and sure enough, we get 5 back. Okay, what's another place we can use round parentheses? Well, it's actually something that you've probably used since elementary school, which is prioritizing operations. So if I say here 2 plus 3 times 4, what is Python going to do? Well, it, like you, presumably went to elementary school and learned that multiplication comes before addition. And so first it's going to say 3 times 4, and then it's going to say plus 2. And sure enough, we have here 14, because that was the same as saying 2 plus 3 times 4. Look at that. I'm using parentheses already without thinking about it, right? This is what we got above, and sure enough, that's going to give us then 14. But what if I want to do the addition first? I can say 2 plus 3 times 4. And here we indicate that plus comes first. And sure enough, now we will have 2 plus 3 is 5 times 4 is 20, and that works just fine. Another place we want to use round parentheses is in creating tuples. Just move these down a little bit because we're going to need a bunch here. Creating tuples. So I can say here t equals 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, right? And the type of t is now tuple. Fantastic. You do have to be a little careful, because if you say t equals 10, what's the type of t now? That's right. The type of t is an integer. Wait, what? Why is that happening? And that's simply because if we want a one element tuple, we need to have a comma inside. In other words, I have to say t equals 10 comma, and the type of t is now tuple. And why is that? So that Python does not get confused between creating a tuple and this priority business, right? If every time I had a value inside of round parentheses that turned into a tuple, then 2 plus 3 times 4 would no longer be 5 times 4 is 20. Rather, it would be this, 2 plus 3 as a tuple times 4, and we would get this instead. And really, like, probably almost no one really wants this result. So you need a comma to create a tuple. And without it, you just get a regular old value. And that does tend to trip people up, although how often do people have single value tuples? Not that often. Another place we can use round parentheses is in creating generator expressions. And generator expressions give us iterable values. That is to say, things that we can put inside of a for loop. But they do it in the style of a list comprehension or of a comprehension in general. So if I say here, x times x for x in range 5, well, if I were to do this with square brackets, then I would get back the list of numbers, the list of squares from 0 up until 16. But if I put it in round parentheses, and this actually creates the list. So if I were to do this for not 5, but 5 million, I would have created a 5 million element list. I'm not about to demo that here. But if I want to, I can say, with round parentheses alone, now I get a generator expression back. And look what I get. I get this thing that has not been evaluated. You can think of it as just-in-time evaluation or lazy evaluation. Only when we need the next value does the generator actually go through the motions and sort of execute what it needs to in order to give us one. And that means that if I want to have a generator expression for the squares of the first 5 million integers, I can totally do that. It will not use up very much memory. It only uses up the memory for the individual result that we're going to get in this particular iteration. Generator expressions are very, very popular and very common now because as we deal with larger and larger data sets in Python, we want that ability to deal with one at a time, to get values in small doses rather than get it all at once in a massive list. One of the big changes between Python 2 and 3 is that wherever in Python 2 something returned a list, in Python 3 it almost always returns a generator such as map, such as a zip, so that we can avoid this sort of trouble. The last example is kind of weird, but it's cheating on Python's indentation rules. And this especially comes up in pandas, but it can come up elsewhere. So what if I say here, right, s equals, let's do this. I'll say here, yeah, s equals, this is an interesting example. And then I say s dot split. And then, well, actually, I want to do s dot, let's do title dot split and we'll do square bracket 0. Okay, very exciting. So what I do here, I said S, I then titleized it, meaning that every word gets capitalized. Then I split it, meaning that a list of strings back, and I'm only interested in the first one. Okay, not the most exciting example, I admit. But here's the thing, you can kind of get lost in all of these method calls. And so what you can do is you can open parentheses for no reason whatsoever other than getting around Python's indentation rules. Because I might like to put each of these on its own line, s.title, split, and then 0, and then it'll be a little easier to read, and then I can comment each line. There's just one problem, which is that this is illegal in Python. You cannot do it. Your expression needs to stay on the same line. But if I've opened parentheses, well, that's a different story altogether. If I've opened parentheses, it's all seen as being on the same line. So I could run this, or I could do this. I'm going to do this. And it still works because as far as Python's concerned, all of this is considered one line of code. And I've taken to doing this in all of my pandas queries. Sometimes I do it in my Python queries as well, but you should know using parentheses in this way, it's harmless and it makes your code, in my opinion, much more readable and easier to tinker with and play with as well. Okay, that's it for round parentheses, but we have a few more, 2 more in fact, kinds of parentheses to deal with. So what about square brackets? Where can we use those? Well, the first and most obvious place is we can use them to create lists, creating them. So I can say here, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, let's do my list equals this. And I say the type of my list is indeed a list. All right, not so bad. And I can also use them for list comprehensions. So I can say here, as we did just now, x times x for x in range 5. And sure enough, I get back a new list. Both of these, by the way, both here where I explicitly put it in square brackets with commas, and here where I use a comprehension, the end result is a new list. A new list object, spanking new, with whatever values I specified, either explicitly or implicitly through the expression. But that's not the only place we use square brackets. We also use them to retrieve individual items from well, we can say a sequence, but not just a sequence, from many values. So if I say here s equals a, b, c, d, f, g, h, I, j, I can say s of 0, that's going to give me the first letter. right? Or first character, I can say s of -1, that gives me the final one. But I can do that with a list as well, right? If I say my list equals 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, I can say my list of 0, right? I can say my list of -1. It's not just a list thing, right? Strings, lists, tuples, dictionaries, and it can be with your objects as well. And the reason is that basically when you retrieve with square brackets, let's say square brackets I, you're really invoking the dunder get item method with the value, we'll say self here, and then I. Well, we can just say I here because we're running it directly, right? So if I say here my list dunder get item, dunder get item of one, let's do 0. Look at that, I get 10. Now, don't actually write your code this way, right? You don't want to lose all the friends that you already have, worked hard to make it work. But this is what square brackets are translated into when you are retrieving. I should add, by the way, we can also request a slice. So a slice is a special kind of object. We really can create it. There is a slice built in, but no one does that. Instead, we just say my list from to up to and not including 5, and I get that back. Or I say here, S from 2 up to and not including 5, and I get that back. And in this case, basically what's happening is that we are implicitly through this syntax, the syntactic sugar, 2:5, we're creating a slice object, and we are getting back the, basically get item on that slice. And indeed, if you really, really want, you can even say my list dot get item, and we say slice from 2 to 5. And if you thought you were going to lose friends from the syntax I showed you before with get item, this is guaranteed to lose you friends and colleagues at work. So definitely don't do it, but that's what's happening behind the scenes. Now here's the thing. We can also use square brackets to assign. I can say my list, right, assign. So I can say my list of 0 equals, and we'll say here 99999. And sure enough, my list now has been modified. Now I can't do that with a string, right? If I say s of 0 equals exclamation point, that will blow up because strings are immutable and they cannot be changed. But if it is mutable, you can 100% put it on the left side of assignment, and then you are assigning to it. And so assignment uses the dunder set item method. And so basically what you can see is that the use of square brackets, whether it's for retrieval or for assignment, is translated into a method call. And thus what objects support square brackets? Any that implement dunder get item and or dunder set item. And it's not it's not in stone, although the core Python data types certainly have set that up. Okay, now that we've done that, let's talk about curly braces. So the most famous part, place for curly braces is in creating a dict. So if I say D equals A, 10, B, 20, C, 30, right? Sure enough, the type of D is a dictionary, and that works just fine. But you should know that we can also create sets with curly braces. If I say S equals, and I say 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, sure enough, the type of S is now a set. Now, how do we distinguish between these? Look, in a set, we only have individual elements, so they are separated with commas. A dictionary, however, has pairs, key value pairs, and each pair is separated by commas there. So you can't talk about A, you can't talk about 20, but you can say A and 10, B and 20, C and 30, those pairs there. So the one thing to watch out for is if I say here S equals empty curly braces, this is an empty set. Or is it? No, actually, it's an empty dictionary. The dictionary syntax came first. And so if you want an empty set, you have to use the word. You have to say S equals set like that. And then the type of S will indeed be a set. And that's the big exception. That's simply because, as I said, dictionaries came before sets. And so they sort of grab the empty curly braces. Where else can we use them? Well, we can use them in F strings, right? And this is a big, big topic, so I'm just going to talk about it briefly. If I say x equals 10 and y equals 10, 20, 30, then I can say here print, and in my F string, I can say x equals this and y equals this. And basically an F string, remains, shall we say, verbatim, or whatever you put in there, except for curly braces, which are evaluated and turned into strings. So I don't need to worry about whether X and Y are or are not strings. They will be stringified, as it were, turned into strings with str, and then we will see the results. And we can then say, for example, x equals 5 and y equals 6. I can say something like this. I can say x plus y equals x plus y. Because inside the curly braces, we can put any expressions we want, not just variable names. Now, I don't want you to start putting in massive, massive amounts of code and expressions in there, but you could if you want. Now, are there additional ways that you can use all of these braces? Absolutely. For example, right, we can have set comprehensions and dict comprehensions, just as we saw. I'll just show you here, right? So if I say x times x for x in range, I'm going to say here minus 5 to 5. Look what we get. We get a set, but because sets guarantee uniqueness of values, so here we don't get any of the doubles. And if I want a dict comprehension, I'll just say here there's a set comprehension. And here I can say a dict comprehension. You can say something like x colon, x to the squared for x in range. We'll say once again minus 5 to 5. And now we get key value, key value, key value. It's a quick and easy way to create a dictionary. There are all sorts of other additional sort of ways to use parentheses, brackets, and braces in Python, but this covers the overwhelming majority of examples that you're likely to see or use in your programming. And I hope that this helps to cut through some of the confusion and make it clearer for you. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon at lots of Learner Python courses and exercises.